Welcome back to the Mac Power Users. I'm David Sparks, and joined as always by Stephen Hackett. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, David. How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing great. And today we're going to be talking about accessories. So everybody, watch your wallet. This one's going to be expensive.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We are exploring some areas we haven't explored before with accessories. You, quite frankly, had some very surprising things in here when I started scrolling through your notes. So
I didn't know that.
I have some questions when we get to some of these things.
Okay, now I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And we're going to be together in person soon. Relay is doing a big 10th anniversary show because the network turns 10 years old this year, which is unbelievable to me as one of its parents. So that's coming up at the end of July. We've got information on the website. If you're in London or UK or Europe and you want to go, we do still have a handful, and I mean that literally, a handful of tickets left. We would love to see you. I think it's going to be a really fun evening. You and I will both be there with a bunch of other Relay hosts. It's going to be a good time. I also had a little bit of 512 Pixels news here in housekeeping.
Nice.
Over the years, I have done various t-shirts and stickers and stuff for the blog. And I finally got my act together and I currently have 6 512 shirts on sale. And they are a mix of old designs kind of remixed and some new stuff. And I'm really happy with all of them. And so if you're looking for some nerdy computer jokes on a shirt, go check out the 512 store. And it's a permanent store. They're for sale all the time. It's not a pre-order or anything. And I think so far people have liked them.
I think I need to complete my collection because I've got the Lisa one, and I've got the orange one here with the classic 512 logo, and I've got the Never Trust a Computer You Can't Lift one. I love that shirt.
That's a great one. From the original Macintosh introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. There's one of the 3rd gen iPod that says touch my buttons that I wasn't going to do, but someone in the Relay Discord talked me into it. So,
all right.
Because that's the best iPod.
You're getting racy.
It's the best iPod. Well, I can't help myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're talking about accessories today, but in the More Power Users episode, which is the extended ad-free version of the show, which you can sign up for, we'd appreciate it. We're going to talk about the best accessory we ever bought. And I have a fun story. I have pictures. I mean, I've got a lot. I've got a lot to unload on you in More Power Users today, Stephen.
Yeah. No, I scrolled down and saw the photo. I was like, well, this is going to be good.
All right. But we want to talk about accessories. You know, we all love our Apple gear, but that doesn't mean they're complete out of the box. We want to get some extra stuff to go along with them. So we've got various categories today, and we thought it'd be fun to just kind of go through and share the state of our accessory situation for our various devices, starting with the little thing that goes in your pocket and makes calls, the iPhone.
In some ways, the most accessorized Apple product, I feel like.
Yeah, it used to be. I feel like it's less accessorized these days for me, but I'm not sure. I think things they've calmed down a bit. Like in the early days of the iPhone, if you went to the Macworld Expo, there was like a whole haul of accessories. I feel like people don't get as many as they used to, but they're more refined, more distilled. They're better now.
Yes, some of those early like iPhone cases, there were some weird ideas out there in the beginning of the iPhone. But yeah, let's start with the phone, and I feel like that means starting with the case or cases we use on the phone. And for me, for a couple of years now, it has been all about Peak Design's everyday case. So it's pretty standard case. The back is like kind of a fabric-y feeling. It feels really nice. It's kind of textured. But the magic of this setup is Peak Design's mounting system, which is physical and magnetic. And it means you can put your phone on a tripod mount, or in my case, on a bicycle. I have a mount for one of these on all my bikes, and it locks in, so it's nice and secure. And they have like a pop socket accessory and some other things that work with it as well. But it really makes your phone like mountable in a way to different surfaces and depending on what you need. And I think it's a great system, and I like the way the case looks and feels. And I've kind of been in this in the setup for a while now, and I've been really happy with it. I really like this case.
Yeah, when they first announced it, I actually backed them on Kickstarter. So I got the original case. I want to say it's like 3 iPhones ago, and several accessories, and I have been using them ever since. And every year they do a good job of coming out with a new case. This year it was a bit controversial because the first one they released it just had a cutout for the action button, which wasn't really right. And they updated, as Peak Design does. They did it right. They made a second version with an action button. And I every year buy the new one. You and I are on the same page here. That one thing that has changed since they first released it is there's a lot more colors now. Like they have kind of a mustard color and a green color, and I just keep ordering the gray one because all my accessories are gray, and gray just kind of works with anything.
Yeah.
I remember this year I put the mustard one in my cart, and I said, "Well, I'm going to sleep on it." I came back, changed it to gray the next day. But it's nice, and I do I bike as well because I don't have a car. A lot of times I use my bike to get around where I live, and I have the mount for my bicycle as well, and it's really nice because it is physical, as Stephen said. You lock it into that thing, and your phone is not going to go flying, even if your bike crashes. Although my bike doesn't crash as much as yours does, Stephen. I think there's something wrong with your bike.
So it's actually funny. A couple of nights ago, I went for a long bike ride. And I got home, and it's kind of been on my mind that it's time for a new helmet. I've had mine a long time. If you don't know this, bike helmets can expire, but also if they get hit, you need to replace them. And, I looked at mine and like it's pretty old. This one has not been in an impact. I bought this one after I had a crash in 2016, but I was like, it's probably time. And I texted a good friend of mine who I ride with, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a helmet. He's more into it than I am. I was like, what should I get? Like what is, what's good right now?" And he was like, "Are you okay? What did you do?" And I realized that his assumption was when I said I need a helmet, he just assumed that I crashed, which, I mean, I guess I've developed a bit of a reputation among some people. I was like, no, like I'm fine. It's just time for a new one. So, I have a new helmet on the way. I will not mount my phone to my helmet though. It goes on the handlebars.
Okay. So I just have to talk about my bike helmet now.
Please.
Even though this is totally unrelated, but I love it so much. There's a company called 1000.
Yeah.
They might be overpriced. I don't know, but they look so cool. And I bought one like 4 years ago, and mine is the Speed Racer model. I don't know what they call it, but it looks like Speed Racer's helmet. And I've had people stop me in the market, and they're like, "Hey, you're the guy that has the Speed Racer helmet. Where'd you get that?" I love those 1000 helmets. Anyway, which one did you end up getting, just since for completion?
Yeah. Your helmet looks awesome. I did not get this. So I got a Trek, their Bontrager, I'm not sure how you say it, is their sort of brand, for accessories. And I got their wave cell. I'm trying to find the exact model name.
I don't know.
Quantum wave cell or Blaze wave cell, something. Anyways, it's a new, instead of like foam, it's like sort of, it's kind of a different material, and it's reviewed really highly because it's lightweight, but also really stiff, or, like an absorption, like kind of all the stuff you want in a bike helmet. It seems like an improvement. So I got one of those in white, which I think is the only correct color for a bike helmet, at least when you live in the South.
Okay. Well, mine probably isn't as fancy, but it makes me look like Speed Racer. So I would.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is not the Peak Design isn't my only case though. This year, in a fit of consumerism, I bought a leather case. When the current iPhone first came out, everybody was talking about this Ryan London leather case because, Apple doesn't make them anymore. And so I bought it, and they embossed Max Sparky in the bottom, and the bottom of it has a cutout so you can swipe up without hitting anything. And I was very happy. I spent like $80 on this case, and I never use it. I don't know why I bought it. It was stupid. And it's not that it's a bad case. I just don't generally wear a case on my phone that much to begin with. And when I do, the Peak Design one, the utility of it's so good. I meant to say when you're talking about the Peak Design case, really, it has fabric on the back. This is not the fabric that Apple uses, or this isn't the glue that Apple uses, or this is whatever
this is a good
it is.
Product.
Yeah, this one, the fabric doesn't peel off when you scratch it or anything. It actually stays connected.
Yeah. I bought a leather one too, and it's not on me, so I was trying to look through my email, but I think I ended up returning it actually, because the Peak Design, like, it looks nice, and the being able to snap it onto a bicycle is really nice. And one thing I like about it over the Apple ones, even when Apple is making leather, and I'm in agreement with you, I think their fine woven material is not very good, and I really don't care for the silicone cases. But the magnet, like the MagSafe ring in the Peak Design case, the magnets are really strong. And so like it holds a wallet or like holds to a MagSafe stand better than Apple's own cases. It's fully compatible with Apple stuff. Like mine is actually literally on a MagSafe puck right now next to my desk, like next to my computer. But the magnets just have a stronger connection. And that's something that I appreciate, because I feel like Apple's cases, sometimes the magnetic attraction isn't quite what I want it to be. And that's something else that Peak Design, I think, gets right.
Yeah. Yeah. True. So I have the leather one that I don't use, and I made a note to myself, next time, don't do that. Just get the Peak Design and be done.
Yeah.
I have another case though. It's a hacked Field Notes brand leather wallet. They make a the Field Notes handbooks. They make a little leather thing like it slides into, and it's got a wallet slots. It's not made for an iPhone, but if I'm going somewhere where I think I'm going to be taking a lot of notes, I load that wallet and then I stick my phone in between it and carry it with me.
Okay.
And so it's kind of a phone case. There are proper phone cases that like fold up like a booklet, and you can have a wallet attached to it.
Yeah.
This is more of a hack. I was actually thinking maybe there's a way to sew in or somehow attach the Ryan London case to it more permanently, and then make the Ryan London like the phone holder in it. But I don't think so, because then there's going to be a new iPhone in 3 months. So like, why do I want to ruin this Field Notes leather?
That's true. Yeah, the Field Notes, the leather, the daily carry memo book cover, I think is what you're talking about. But they also make one with Bellroy that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I have tried the combination. We're just so off on many tangents. I have tried the combination like Field Notes wallet thing together, because I carry Field Notes every day. Like here's mine right here. Like it's just right, always with me. But I tend to sort of shy away from that. But I have become a joint phone wallet person, which we'll talk about in a second, I'm sure.
All right. I have a question for you. When does the case go on? Are you like Syracusa, like you put it on once and it never comes off?
No. During the summer, the case is always on, because I'm doing a lot of bike riding. I'm wearing shorts, and phones slip out of short pockets pretty easily. I will say in the winter or like cooler weather, I may be more likely to have no case, because I'm wearing jeans or I'm just not riding, and like having no case is nicer. But even then, over the years, I've become more and more like the case is basically always on. In fact, I don't think I've carried my 15 Pro Max without a case except a few times. I did try one of those things. It's like just a leather back and kind of sticks to the phone, but I wasn't really happy with the quality of what I tried. So I'm case the vast majority of the time now, which is different. I used to be no case. I was no case for a long time, but that has changed over the years.
Yeah. I actually don't. I keep the case, and I have like a drawer when I'm going out with the keys and the money and the wallet and all that. And I keep the phone case in there, and I snap it on pretty much every time I leave the house, but I take it out when I'm home. I just like this natural titanium so much. Yeah. It just makes me happy. So,
it's really
there
good.
You go. So around the house, I keep it out of a case. And then when we go out, it's like putting its jacket on, wearing a jacket when you go out. And when I wrote that, I had at first said, no damage, done it for a year. And then I looked at my phone really closely. There's a 1/4-inch hairline crack on my screen. Huh.
Oh no.
Don't have any idea when that happened. Maybe it was when it was in the case, but probably not.
So we have both mentioned wallets. What are you doing there? Is that part of your phone setup? It sounds like it is.
Yeah, but actually, before I get there, one more thing about the case.
Okay.
Inside the case, I put a thing.
Okay. Yes. Tell me about this. I'm intrigued by this.
I just made a little sticker with my wife's phone number on it and my email address. You know, the label maker and me we're good friends, and so I made a little sticker and I put it inside. I figured if ever my phone got misplaced when I was out and somebody just opened it up, they'd see a phone number they can call or an email address they can reach me at. And a crisp new $20 bill, just behind it, and you just slide it in behind the case. You put the case on.
Is that for like a break glass in case of emergency? Or do you view that as, hey, if you call this phone number because you found this phone at Disney, you get the $20?
Well, both. Let's say both.
Fair.
I don't like the $20 bill I've had in there has been in there for like 2 years, but 2 years ago I needed it. Right. So, I don't know. It's like, I remember once I was out and like I was driving my daughter's car and I had no gas in it because it was my daughter's car, and I didn't have my card with me. So I just, put $20 in for her. Anyway. Yeah. You can put stuff in your case, guys. That's
true.
Okay.
I should think about
wallets. Wallets. I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm still on the Peak Design bus.
Yeah.
This show is not sponsored by Peak Design. I'll say that. But I got the gray wallet when they did the Kickstarter, and I love it. It's got a little flap with a magnet on it, so you just know your cards aren't going anywhere. It holds more cards than the Apple Wallet, and I need like one more card than will fit in an Apple Wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And you could even slide some cash in there if you want. It's got a good magnet. About 6 months ago, it started to disintegrate. The glue bonds started to fail. So it would just like kind of origami itself out, So I wrapped it in gaffer tape, as you do.
Sure.
And my wife kept making fun of it. And I said, she said, you just get a new one. This looks really bad. So I was going to order a new one, and I was on their website and they said lifetime guarantee. So I sent them a picture and they just sent me a new one. So that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Peak Design. They're worth it. But yeah, I still like it, but I also have kind of like a wallet hierarchy.
Okay.
This is the standard carry wallet. This one I almost always use, but I have another one that has an AirTag built into it. So sometimes, like when I go to London, I'll bring out the heavy duty one with the AirTag in it.
Yeah, that's a good call. I used the Peak Design mobile wallet for years, and some point earlier this year, downsized to the Apple one, just to have something a little bit thinner. And you do have to make some decisions because you can't really fit everything. So like, I have my driver's license, one credit card, an insurance card, and a $20 bill. Like that's it. And I have a Bellroy wallet that's in my desk drawer. It has like the company cards and stuff. So like if I'm traveling for work, I'll grab it. But other than that, it stays in the desk. I did find a black leather one. I decided to try this after the fine woven era had started. And I just did not want a fine woven wallet on the back of my phone. And so I went on eBay and found a black leather MagSafe wallet, and it has the Find My integration. And if people haven't experienced this on the Apple Wallet, it is not Find My the way you think it is, at least on the leather ones. I think it's the same for fine woven. All it does is it basically puts a pin on Find My when you take the wallet off the phone. But if the wallet then moves after that, it doesn't know where it went. So it's useful of like, where was it known last by the phone, but it's not quite full blown Find My, like your wallet with the AirTag stuck in it, right? It's a different thing. It's not bad. It's better than nothing. But I think if you're using something like the Peak Design mobile wallet and you have the room, maybe check out one of those Find My compatible cards. Like if you're worried about that. And there are a bunch of those on the market now. Chipolo, I think, is the kind of one of the original ones. Moment, I think, has one now. There's a bunch of them out there, but that could be an alternative. But the Apple one is good enough for me, as someone who doesn't really go anywhere very, very much, working at home and basically just taking kids to school and running a few errands. But yeah, the Apple one works for me, but just. And like, it may not work for me forever. In fact, I have my Peak Design one in the drawer, as sort of like if I ever need to carry just one more thing, then this won't work.
Yeah. I wish Apple would make just a thin AirTag.
Yeah.
We get rumors every once in a while that a new one is coming, and it's just a little too much, And I don't know which of these third party ones to get. So maybe that's something I need to research at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm going without AirTag on my wallet when I'm in the Peak Design wallet. Charging. What are you doing?
So for me, I'm all in on the MagSafe Life. I'm using a couple of different Studio Neat material docks, both on my desk and on my nightstand, that are all MagSafe compatible. And when I travel, I have the Mophie 3-in-1. I think we've talked about this before. You get it from the Apple Store. This is definitely not the cheapest, like all-in-one type charger you could get, but I like that it folds down on itself really nicely and looks nice. And it's powered by USB-C. So you also have like a USB-C charger. So if you need to fast charge something, unplug it from the back of the 3-in-1 charger and plug it right in. And so that's it for me. Basically, anywhere I can, I've got MagSafe and have been. It's just easy, right? You just plop it down and don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I had a MagSafe battery. I used to say that my wife and I share it, but I came to realize as I prepped this outline that it is no longer mine in any sense of the word. My wife has just taken it over.
Sure.
I don't even know where she keeps it, but she uses it all the time. And she goes out more than I do, so good for her. I don't know if I'll replace it. If I do, it will have to be the Anchor one. The Apple doesn't sell it anymore.
Yeah, Apple discontinued the MagSafe battery pack, which I totally missed. Like when we were putting stuff together for this episode, I was trying to find a link for it. I was like, oh gosh, it's gone. But the Anchor thing looks really cool. And this, the Anchor magnetic power bank, I bought actually 2 of them for our trip to the UK. So like, I'll have one, my wife will have one. I don't think I'd have it on my phone because it's like thicker than my phone in the case, but to have in my bag and be able to like MagSafe to the back or use a cable, it looks pretty cool. Mine it's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, so I don't have any like hands-on experience yet, but I'm very intrigued by this.
They make a 5,000 and a 10,000 milliamp hour one. That's interesting. I think if I was going to get it, I'd just get the big one.
That's what I did. I ordered the 10,000. I was like, the size difference didn't seem incredible to me. And again, it's not going to be in my pocket. It's going to be in a bag. And I thought, why not just go for the fences?
Yeah. Well, what I've been using in lieu of that, and I think this is probably good enough for me, is it's also from Anchor. Studio Neat and Anchor, they feature today, but they make one called the Nano Power Bank, and it's a tiny little power bank. It's like half the width of a pack of cigarettes, but about the same height and width. It's the width of your phone, and it's got a little USB-C fold out plug in the bottom. There's no cable, but you just fold out the USB-C and you just kind of jack it into the bottom of the phone. And then it's a direct connection, so it charges it faster than the MagSafe one does, and it also fits in your pocket.
Yeah,
and that's great. And I carry that around. Like I'll have that with me probably in London. And when you travel or you've got a day you need a lot, because I have the big phone, I rarely need extra battery.
Yeah,
but when I do, 10,000 milliamps is more than enough. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. And then I also have the Beast. That big Anchor, the 27,000 milliamp one that we talked about before.
Yeah. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess you can fly with that. It's 99.54 watt hours. So it will go in a plane.
See, I don't even think I'll bring it.
I mean, you need to hold another suitcase for it, man. It's enormous.
It's like, that makes me wonder why I bought it though. Right.
If ever there was a time to use it. Yeah. I mean, I've got the one smaller than that, like the 20,000. And I don't really plan on taking it. I really bought that one as like a camping road trip kind of thing because It's not even the size, it's the weight of it. You get a battery
Yeah.
that big and they start getting heavy.
Yeah. Additional camera accessories for your iPhone. This is where I was talking about things have gotten easier. I feel like in the old days, there was a lot more lens systems and things we would do.
Mm-hmm.
The iPhone's getting so many lenses. The cameras are so good. There's not that much you need. But what are you using?
Yeah. So again, our friend Studio Neat come to the rescue with the Glyph. I think every time we do one of these, we mention the Glyph.
Yeah.
It's a really easy way to mount a phone to a tripod. There are lots of systems for this. I like the Glyph because it's spring loaded, so you're not like using a tool to like clamp it down. It's really nice, and it means that you can put a phone on anything with a quarter 20 thread on it, and you can do it vertically or horizontally. They have mounts on the long and short side, which is really nice. And so, I mean, in fact, I've got one. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I've switched to using an iPhone with camo for my nice webcam. I took my Sony down, and just have a Glyph on a stand on my desk behind my laptop. I can just pop the phone in and out, and it's because it's spring loaded. It's really quick, which is what I wanted in a situation like this. So for me, it's the Glyph, and if I have like a small tripod with me, I like the Manfrotto Pixie Mini tripod. It's about 6 or 8 inches long, and it's got Manfrotto's like very clever sort of ball and shoulder joint on the top, so you can angle it really easily, and it's really nice in the hand. And I've had that thing. My Amazon history, at the top is like last purchased May 2014, so I've had it 10 years, and it's been rock solid.
Yeah, I have the Studio Neat Glyph as well. I got years ago from I think it was Gorilla. They called it a micro tripod.
Yeah.
Now there's a company named Joby that makes one. I think it might be the same company.
It is.
Yeah, but it's like a pack of gum. It's so small. So you can get a Studio Neat Glyph and one of these in your jeans pocket and have a tripod for your phone, and that's really cool. However, a friend of mine showed up with a Moft origami, MOFT, and I really dug it, and I ordered one. I don't know if this is like the leather case. Do I need it? It's a MagSafe attached gizmo for your iPhone that unfolds into a tripod, but it can stand up. Like the phone can be above the tripod element of it. And I'm going to give that one a try too. But I'm actually pretty happy with the micro from Joby, but this one just seemed kind of cool. One other iPhone accessory I have, this is because of the MacSparky work I do, but I find it works really good with the iPhone, especially if you are going to shoot video with your phone. DJI makes a just incredibly awesome wireless mic system. They just came out with a second edition of it, and it's easy enough to plug it into USB-C, and you get a wireless microphone into your video, and it can work like, I don't know, 100 yards away. So if you got kids, you just strap one of these to them, let them run off and shoot some video. You get great audio. It's, not cheap. I think it was about $300 when I bought the first one. I don't know what the second one costs, but but man, it's nice and very convenient.
I have seen this show up everywhere on YouTube. Like some semi-professional YouTube people that I watch, they are all of a sudden using this. For a long time it was the Rode Wireless Go, and that's what I have. And I've been very happy with that system. But this DJI Mic 2, the version 2 for 2 microphones and a receiver and the charging case is $350, but it's got 820 feet of range. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
These seem very popular amongst people who are kind of doing this, more seriously than I certainly am at this point.
But I think it's useful even just in a family situation.
Yeah.
Like you want to go shoot grandma talking about growing up in Missouri, you put one of these mics on her and then set up the camera on a tripod, and you put the other mic on yourself and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you get your audio so much better. In fact, we talked about this. I just remembered. Sorry, gang. I'm getting senile. We talked about this like on the last feedback show.
Yeah, maybe we did. It's very cool though.
Whoops. Yeah. All right.
Before we leave the camera conversation, it's kind of an accessory. It's like a software accessory question. Are you using any third-party camera apps on your phone?
Not regularly. I mean, I play with them occasionally, but I find the iPhone camera app is good enough for pretty much
Yeah.
everything I do.
Yeah. I've got the normal contenders installed, Halide, Obscura. The one that I find myself using the most, though, because it is really cool time lapse stuff, is an app called Spectre. It's by the folks who make Halide, and it's just a really straightforward but powerful long exposure camera. And it does a thing where like it knows if it's on a tripod or not, like it detects, motion, it does
Yeah.
auto stabilization, it does some really cool exposure stuff. Sometimes when you take long exposure photography, the exposure gets messed up because it's like parts of it are way brighter than others, and it figures all that out. And it's like a one-time purchase, I think, of $5. And I used it just the other day, a picture of a water fountain that I took and put on Instagram. Like, Spectre is really cool, and I think if you are really happy with the Apple camera, and you should be, it's really good. This is like one to add because it does something differently and kind of a better way than what Apple's done.
This episode of the Mac Power Users is brought to you by 1Password. Go to 1password.com/MPU today to sign up and get 20% off. 1Password is a password generator and manager and security tool, but it does a lot more than that. For instance, it keeps track of all the websites that you deal with and lets you know if any of them have a problem that you should be aware with, because sometimes the problem isn't you, it's the company you're dealing with. They get hacked, your data gets compromised, and they don't tell you. You still need to know that, and 1Password will take care of that. But the additional feature that I want to focus on today that I love is the 1Password secure note. Just recently, I had somebody ask me a question about a banking thing, and I have a secure note in 1Password that has all of the details in there. And I just love having that vault on my iPhone that nobody can get a hold of. Even if they get through Touch ID or unlock my phone, they still aren't going to get this data because it's behind the 1Password secure vault. I've got secure notes with some of my health details, the family social security numbers. I've also got them for like other family members because I'm the tech support guy for all the family. I've got like the Wi-Fi passwords and some other passwords for family members because they can't remember their own passwords and I have to do it for them. Well, Secure Notes is a perfect place for stuff like that. And all of that is locked up solid in the 1Password vault. Now, if you get 1Password, it's not just on your phone. You can get it on your Mac, you can get it on your iPad, you can get it on the web and Windows and Android and other platforms. You can even get it on your watch. And with a 1Password subscription, you get that commitment from Team 1Password. They are absolutely committed to your security. Go check it out over at 1password.com/MPU. That URL one last time, 1password.com/MPU. And if you go to that MPU URL, you're going to get 20% off your plan. So make sure to go there and get that discount and let them know you heard about it here on the old Mac Power Users. Thanks again, 1Password, for all of your support of the Mac Power Users.
Okay, let's talk about the Mac. Probably not sticking wallets on our Macs, but one thing we do, we stick drives on our Macs. So what are you doing for external storage these days? Because I know this has changed for you some over time as we've both managed to get rid of spinning disks.
You have been a terrible influence on me. I just want to say that publicly because you were the first there with all the SSD storage. And Dave, look at my Mercury Elite Pro. Look how cool it is. And like you totally pulled me down this road, buddy. But now I'm all in. So I have the massive 8 terabyte Mac Studio, but all my data fits on one device, which is kind of nice. But I will never talk again about how much I spent on it. And and then I have a Mercury Elite Pro Dual Mini from OWC. It's a aluminum case that holds 2 SSDs, and that one is the Time Machine one. And then I have the Mercury Elite Pro Mini single, which is the clone.
Okay, so your setup is identical to mine.
Yeah, and I do have some spinning OWC external drives that rotate. Like there's always one at the house and one with a friend. And those are kind of like in case of emergency drives. Once a month I run a backup of everything, and then that one rotates off site. But yeah, that's it. And they have the big honking 8 terabyte Samsung SSDs in them.
Mm-hmm.
You do get discounts on those if you wait. And
yes.
That's,
Yes.
In fact, Stephen wrote that in the outline. Do not buy at full price.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're on sale often. As this show releases, we're almost on Prime Day. I bet they'll be on sale then,
Yeah. Actually, as we're recording on July 10th, they're on sale 24%. But yes, don't buy Samsung SSDs full price. Don't do it. But yeah, that's my exact setup. I've got one of the singles as a nightly clone, and then I have one of the duals set up for Time Machine, and it's they're both really fast. Obviously, they're both silent. They're both the cases are really nicely built. They do have LEDs in them, and for me, where mine sit, they don't bother me. But you can cover up where the LEDs are. They've run for me for quite a while now, because all this used to be internal when I had a Mac Pro, but I also have a very similar setup to a degree for my Mac Mini, my sort of home server, using these cases. And those things, I've had those cases on that Mac Mini forever, and they just run and run and run.
I'm sure there's a way to turn off those LEDs, and it's been in my OmniFocus forever, and I just never have got around to is there a dip switch, or is there a code I can send it through the terminal? There must be a way to turn it, because I actually would like to turn them off. I just haven't got around to it. I also modded mine slightly.
Okay.
I have a little R2-D2 toy someone gave me that has a magnetic restraining bolt. Do you remember episode 4 of Star Wars?
Of course.
R2's got this thing attached to him that Luke pops off, which allows him to run away. Yeah, in the Star Wars universe, the droids are basically slaves. Let's just call it out.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
And they have restraining bolts. So I have a little magnetic restraining bolt. I put it on my OWC because it looks at me. I'm just reminding myself that I can't let AI take over my computer. So there's a little restraining bolt there, just in case.
Okay.
Speakers.
Yeah. What about audio? What about audio?
Well, I don't have a studio display like you. I have a very fancy display that doesn't have any speakers in it. And I like noise, and I'm editing stuff I work on. I don't want to wear headphones all the time. I've gone through a couple iterations of speakers over the years. I had some that I bought over 10 years ago. My daughter she needed them at school, and a fit, I gave them to her. And then I realized, no, I actually do need speakers. On JF Brissett's recommendation, I bought some IK Multimedia iLoud micro monitors, which are very nice computer speakers, and they're small, as the word micro implies.
Yeah.
One thing I've done with them is I have some light stands on my desk I do a lot of video for the labs. So, and I put clamps on them. And so my speakers are about 18 inches off the desk. They're elevated and attached to the stands, which is nice. And the other thing that's nice is because I have a lot of cabling, and my microphone cable runs under the desk, and now the speaker magnets are 18 inches away from the cable, which makes Jim Metzendorf happy.
Yeah, I'm just using the speakers in my studio display. They're not incredible, but they're not bad. And the way my desk is set up with the laptop open to the left, it would be hard. I'd really have to rearrange some stuff to get speakers on the desk, unless they were bigger and, maybe kind of further back. And this has been something that I've looked at a few times. Maybe I do want something better. For years, I ran some really old sound sticks, and they had the separate sub, and they sounded incredible. And one of them was hot glued together, as long-term listeners may remember. And when I moved to the studio display, I retired the sound sticks because they were just really, especially the right one, was really falling apart. And again, the studio display sounds pretty good it's honestly pretty good. But I do occasionally think about, doing something a bit nicer. Now, I'm doing far less podcast editing than I used to. Thank you, Jim. But even just for music, sometimes I think it may be nice to have something external again. But kind of like your previous task you mentioned, I sort of just keep kicking that one down the road.
Yeah. Well, I am so happy now that I've elevated these and they're off the desk. That makes all the difference. And it really didn't cost that much. It's just a little clamp off Amazon, right? And I already had the light pull on. For the right one, it didn't fit on the existing pole because of reasons. So I bought another little, telescoping clamp stand, and I just sent you pictures of them, and it's really nice. I think this really solved the problem, and it sounds great. The magnets are far away from all the cables, and now I am happy with my speaker situation.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, getting them kind of ear level is nice. Coming out of the studio display, they're coming out the bottom and they're doing the trick the iMac does, right? Where they're firing it down and sort of, bounces off your desk back at you. I don't know how accurate any of that is. But if you can get something ear level, especially when you're doing production work, it can be a real improvement to what you hear.
But even separate from the improvement of the audio quality, just not having them on the desk to me is a big deal. UPS, that's on my list. It really is.
Hasn't it been on your list like 15 years?
Yeah, it expired. Like I had one. She died. She died. But I'm going to get a new one, and I need to figure out which one to get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got one. I mean, my computer's a MacBook Pro, but I have a lot of other equipment on my desk. I've got those drives, and the dual one does take external power. The single one is bus powered. But I got the studio display, and I've got my Eero for the whole office is actually under the desk, and so I do have a battery backup. It's a Cyber Power. I've been happy with it. I've had it a long time, and I've used other brands in the past. Like the big thing is get the capacity you need, and there's a bunch of online calculators, probably including on the Cyber Power website, where you can kind of tell it what you have, and it'll figure it out. This one I bought when I had my Mac Pro, so it is definitely overkill for my current setup, but that's fine too. It just means more runtime. And I was so glad you put this in here, because one change I have made since last time we talked about power stuff is I bought a UPS and put it in my network closet, which is what I call just the top of my youngest son's closet, because I overtook his top shelf with all my network stuff. And so now if the power goes out, now we have a whole home generator, which we ran on for 13 hours yesterday, yesterday was very exciting. But it takes a few seconds for the generator to come on. And before we had the generator, the power would go out. I'd have no internet. And so putting a UPS in that closet means that if I have no power, or in the time between the power goes out and the generator comes on, the network stays up. And that is critical for me if the power blinks or something when I'm recording, because battery backup in the network closet, battery backup at my desk, and one where my network switches, I got to switch in between, basically means my network stays up now if the power goes out. And when you're looking for a UPS for something like a cable modem and an Eero and a switch, you don't need a very big one. And you can get one that kind of fits on a shelf. They have some with the plugs on top, some plugs on the bottom. These things have come down in price. I really think for most people, it's a really good addition to their setup. If you're in a dorm and you're just using a MacBook Air, probably not a big deal. But if you have a desk full of stuff, it's a relatively inexpensive way to help protect that equipment. Because in addition to keeping things on when the power goes out, many good ones also have some surge suppression and other things in them to help protect your equipment. And for me, if the one under my desk dies, I'm ordering a replacement right away. It's no questions. It's part of my setup and one that I don't want to go without.
Okay. I'm going to order one on Prime Day.
Do it. It's coming up.
I just added a task. I will spend money.
Okay.
Stream Decks. Do we even talk about that? I'm going to skip it.
I just saw, you got 400 of them, I think.
I have 5 of them. 5.
Did you say 5?
Yeah.
David.
I'm looking at them. 5.
David Sparks. What are you doing?
It's a family.
It doesn't need to be.
Families grow. Look at the Hackett family. Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way down this rabbit hole, but yeah, I have 2 XLs because I had one and I made fun of people that had two, and then a listener sent me an extra one. So
Yeah.
now I have two, and now I'm the person I made fun of. I have the plus one with all the dials on it, which is quite useful for people who make media. I have the pedal, which I don't use that much. And I have they have a new one called the Neo that I just wanted to try because it was new. And it's like at some point there's a momentum built. It's like you and your old Macs.
Sure.
So I have another one. I'm putting desk setups on it. I'll talk about it someday on the show. But the new Neo ones are cheap and cute, and they give you the date and the time on them. They're kind of nice, but yeah, I have a lot of Stream Decks. Let's just move on there. Let's look at there. Do you have any? You have like one, right?
Yeah, I have the XL. I had the
Yeah.
regular one, and I outgrew it, and I actually sent it to Jason Snell, and replaced it with an XL, and it's great. I mean, times where I'm just at my laptop and I don't have my Stream Deck, it feels like I got a hand tied behind my back because I've got so many shortcuts set up on it. And we did a Stream Deck episode a while ago, and I feel like there's probably one in our futures, given that you have 5 of them. But it is really a useful tool, especially if you're doing automation. A lot of my stuff is tied to media. But then I also have a section of buttons, David, that's just time zones of people I work with. And I can go to that page and just be like, I can do that with my hand faster than I can go and get the menu bar app that I use sometimes. It's like, it's just a very useful thing.
It's way more useful than you think it is if you don't have one. But let's save that for another day.
There you go. Okay. 5
Keyboard
of them.
and mouse.
5 of
Keyboard
them.
and mouse. What'd you say? I think he just whispered to the audience. I don't know what you said.
I did. I was just recounting that you have 5 Stream Decks.
Yeah, 5.
5.
Well,
okay.
maybe by the time we make a show on it, it'll be 7. Who knows?
It could
be.
be
Nothing but Stream Decks.
Do you know in the Christian Bale Batman movie when he does the thing with all the cell phones so he can like see and hear everything, and there's that wall of screens?
Yeah.
Like that's your office, but it's Stream Decks.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I may actually reduce, but I do like them. Okay, moving on. Keyboard and mouse. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm using the compact Touch ID Apple Magic Keyboard. Man, Touch ID is so good on the Mac. Use it with my password manager, use it to log in, use it to authenticate across Mac OS. I really don't want to go without Touch ID on the Mac anymore. And I know if you use a third-party keyboard, you kind of have to unless you hack something together, which some of our friends have done over the years. But for me, just the Apple Compact Keyboard works really well. Key travel works for me. I like that it's the same effectively as my MacBook Pro keyboard. The arrow keys are better on my laptop because they're inverse T, and the I have an older Apple desktop one, and it has the big right and left arrows. But very happy with this keyboard. I've been through several of them over the years. In fact, this one, I'm looking at it now. The left command key, C, S, D, and V are basically worn through because those are like keyboard shortcuts you use a lot in Logic when I was editing shows all the time. But using that, it's dead center in front of me, and then to the left, a magic trackpad for gestures, panning and zooming, and a bunch of different apps. And then on the mouse front, I'm now using the MX Master 3S, which came very highly suggested to me from listeners and friends. For years, I was using the Logitech Performance MX. In fact, I had a couple of them on the shelf because I liked it so much. And I finally went through my last one rather recently, actually, and got the MX Master 3S. It definitely took a little bit of time to get used to the different size, but I've been very happy with it. The S stands for silent, so you can't hear it click, which is really nice. I should say that there's some dust up with the Logitech options software. I covered this pretty in depth over on 512, where they added some like AI features to their mouse driver, which like no one needs. And I'm not against AI features, but I don't want them in my mouse driver. And like the way they did it was pretty hacky. But I have installed Steer Mouse. That's STEER, Steer Mouse, to manage some of the customization of this mouse, and I'm not running the Logitech software. It seems lighter weight anyways in the background, and it works totally fine. So that's my input setup. For a long time, I've been trackpad, keyboard, and mouse. I like having all three. When I travel, I take my mouse with me because using a trackpad for a long time kind of bothers my hands. But I'm pretty happy with this setup. I feel like I've really been able to dial it in over the years.
Yeah. Like you, I still use an Apple keyboard. I've tried a couple times to, get a fancy keyboard, clicky keyboard, and it is the Touch ID that always brings me back. And the fact that I just don't relish the, analog keyboard, clicky keyboard experience the way some of our friends do. It doesn't do it for me the way it does for them. So I'm kind of fine on whatever keyboard I use. And this one has a button that does Touch ID for me. And I like that. I do have the full size one. I originally bought the full size one. Then I got the smaller one. The one without the track, the number pad on it. But then that got donated to my Vision Pro setup. So I've got that kind of permanently using with Vision Pro. So I got the full size one out again, and it's fine. And my mouse is a little bit further away, but it doesn't, it just doesn't matter. And I do like that, using the Apple keyboard on my desktop means that I have the same keyboard on my laptop, basically. So kind of for muscle memory with the keyboard shortcuts and things work better. I like the globe key, although it's in a different place on my laptop. And I also have a flock of string decks, as I've already mentioned. Mm-hmm. Is that I think when you get 5, it's a flock.
I think that's the right word. Yeah. A gaggle, maybe a gaggle of string decks.
No, a flock. I think a gaggle is like 3, but you got a flock when you get to 5. And then like you, I got the Magic Trackpad on the left. Again, I had to get an old one out because I put my new one over with my Vision Pro. And then I don't hate the Apple mouse. Everybody hates the Apple Magic Mouse. I think it's fine. There's some cool features that I like with it, but it also the problem is when you screencast, a lot of times it thinks that you're going left and right on the top, and the windows move left and right a little bit with it. I know you can turn it off, but then it was just causing some problems with screencasting. So I went ahead on your advice and got the MX Master 3S. It's fine. And it's a good mouse, it's silent. S is for silence, as you said. I have the Apple mouse that I occasionally get out. And I also have from Logitech this thing that's like kind of vertical and it's got a trackball in it. And it's kind of like a ergo mouse thing. I don't even know where I got it, but I've had it for years. And occasionally I get it out and use it for a few days, but I always end up back with like a regular mouse.
This is the one that it's like at an angle and there's a thumb ball?
Yeah.
Okay. The MX Ergo Advanced Wireless Trackball.
There you go.
Yeah, the trackball thing has never clicked for me. I've got friends who swear by it. In fact, I got a friend of mine. She's like a full-time designer at a big company whose name you would recognize. And she has been all trackball for like 10 years and swears by it. And I'm glad there's options that work for people, but that one is one that really, really breaks my brain a little bit.
The nice thing about it is it doesn't move. So if you've got like a cramped desk, you just, you place it there and you're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
I keep trying it. Mike Hurley, I think he still does the thing with the pencil and the the writing pad.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that.
No. I think he does that partially to rotate between devices. I don't understand, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we're again pretty much in alignment here. Apple stuff, Logitech keyboard or Logitech mice.
Yeah, we're becoming like each other, Stephen.
Well, I only have one Stream Deck, so
far. What if I send you one? Then you'll have two.
I'd probably use it. This episode of MPU is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building an awesome website for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. So whether you're just starting out with something new or managing a growing brand, you can stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything, products, services, even content, because Squarespace has everything you need all in one place. Maybe you're not really design-minded. Well, Squarespace Blueprint makes it easy to get started. You choose from a professionally curated layout with a bunch of styling options, and then you build a unique online presence from the ground up. It's tailored to your brand or business and optimized for every device. Maybe you are into design, but SEO is what's tricky for you, like it is for me, honestly. Well, you can easily launch your website and get discovered quickly with integrated, optimized SEO tools. So you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. And if you use Squarespace email campaigns, those SEO tools and analytics, they all kind of flow together. So you can make outreach automatic with email marketing tools to drive sales, engage your community, and simplify your audience management. And those analytics measure the impact of each and every send, so you know how successful those email campaigns are. You can also integrate flexible payments, making checkout seamless for your customers with simple and powerful payment tools, accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay. And in eligible countries, offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. So I've talked a lot about a lot of different features: design, SEO, sending emails, payments. And I do that because Squarespace has all those things and they all work together. All these systems know about each other. And that's what I love about building on Squarespace. I'm not putting a bunch of different systems together, hoping they work, hoping they understand each other. Squarespace manages all that. So I can focus on my content, I can focus on my business, and I can focus on what's most important in my work. Head on over to squarespace.com/MPU. You can get a free trial there, and you'll get 10% off when you sign up for your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/MPU when you decide to sign up to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for the show. Our thanks to Squarespace for their support of Mac Power users and all of Relay FM.
Yeah, I talked about Vision Pro earlier. Couple things. If you use Vision Pro to do work, I think a keyboard and trackpad are very useful. With the new beta, you can attach a mouse to it, but I think there was a reason why they started with trackpad, because it just works in your lap so well while you're wearing Vision Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do that. I've got an Apple keyboard and Apple trackpad. I've got a thing I got off Amazon. I couldn't even find a link for it when I put it in the outline, but it was like $20. It's a piece of plastic and it holds these things together. I know there are probably more reputable vendors making these things, but this was early days and it's fine.
Yeah.
So that is what I do for Vision Pro in terms of keyboard and trackpad.
Mm-hmm. What about case-wise? You're using the Waterfield Shield case, I believe. Can you tell me about that? Because it seems very compact.
Yeah, it's Waterfield makes good stuff. And it's like half the size of the Apple NASA thing. And everything fits in there nicely. It's just a really great case. And I also, because I've got the Solo Top, I've got more bands and stuff than normal people do. They all fit in there just fine. And that's the home for my Vision Pro when it's not on my face.
Okay. So you're using it for storage all the time for everything.
Yeah. When I take it off, I put it away.
Yeah, good. I know some folks are using like stands for their Vision Pro. And for me, it's like, no, I want this safe and sound in its case when I'm not using it.
Me too.
And I am using the as we talked about in our Vision Pro episode, the Apple NASA case.
So we all call it the Apple NASA case, except Apple doesn't call it that.
I know. But it's the perfect name for it because the thing is screams NASA. What about audio? For me, I've only used it in my office. I've not used it while traveling. I've only ever actually tried it with AirPods Pro like once just to see how it goes. Are you using your AirPods Pro with the headset, or are you just using the kind of built-in speakers?
I have watched so many movies on it, and I have logged so many hours in Vision Pro, and I've never connected my AirPods to it. It's fine. The audio is good. It's way better than I expected it to be with those little slits, But whatever they're doing in there, it works. And I have no desire to like upgrade the audio on Vision Pro.
Yeah, I think it's really good out of the box. And I only tried it and it wasn't for that long of a period of time. But I also like that my ears are a bit more open to the outside world. Something about that makes me feel a little bit better. So Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm just using it kind of as it intended. They did a really, really good job with it.
What about battery cases?
Yeah, when I was putting together this section, I was like, what other sort of accessories are even out there for the Vision Pro? And then I stumbled across the world of things you can use to clip the Vision Pro battery to yourself. Belkin has a nice one. Etsy is overrun with people making their own. You, as we talked about recently, you're using the Vision Pro a lot more than I am. You're using it around your studio. Does this strike a chord with you?
No, not at all. Really, I mean, primarily, I have a chair next to my work desk, and the Vision Pro is like 90% of the time used in that chair. And so I have USB-C power there, so I can plug the battery into that. Usually, if I'm going to use it without plugging in, and I think now I think about it, probably I do that more than not. Like because I keep the battery on a charger, it's always charged when I go to use it, and rarely do I need it longer than 2 hours. So what I do is just I just put the battery in my pocket, and if I just have a t-shirt on, I'll just drop it down my shirt. But usually I've got a sweater on or something. But I'll have the cord contained within my clothing so it doesn't catch on things, and just put the battery in my pocket, and that's fine. I stand up with it the most when I play games on it, or when I do like my node work, or when I'm doing like thought stuff. When I want to get up and kind of move around an idea. But generally, I use it sitting down, and the battery's in my pocket. I don't need a case for the battery.
That's how I feel as well. I mostly use it on the couch in my office, and I could see a battery clip being useful if you have somebody whose outfits don't support pockets, or you're really using it like up and about, and maybe you want the cable really managed. You could like run the cable down like the back of your shirt, and you have like the belt, you know, battery
Yeah.
thing on your belt, like behind your hip or something. But I was the same way. Like I hadn't really considered it. I saw they were out there in preparation for this, and I don't feel like it fits a need for me, but it may for somebody. And I think for the future, if this thing's become more popular, more portable, maybe it makes sense then in some context where it doesn't now. It's kind of something I'll keep my eye on, I guess.
I mean, I primarily plug it in when I think about it when I watch a long movie, because I don't think the battery's going to last long enough. And whenever I do that, there's always a source of tension, because I watch movies in environments. So
Yeah.
like I can't see anything. And what if I forget and like stand up and like, I don't know, rip the thing off my face because the battery's connected to the USB. So it's always like a little bit of tension, which is why I generally prefer to use it, unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised there aren't more accessories for this thing, but at the same time, it's not that popular. So that makes sense.
Yeah. What about the iPad?
Yeah, I got stuff. I got stuff for my iPad. Since I just updated it, I bought both cases. I got the keyboard case and I got the low profile case. And what I do is I keep the keyboard case in my backpack when I leave, because that's usually when I use iPad with a keyboard. Like I use it kind of as a computer when I go to Disneyland and want to work or out of the house. So the keyboard case doesn't really get used in the house much. And I usually use it in the low profile. And the low profile case is better now. Like you can set different viewing angles if you want to like watch a video while you're sitting at your desk or whatever. It's nice. I also got the new Apple Pencil. The Apple got me for everything, man. And then I've been doing the thing where you send a signal via HDMI to your iPad as a monitor.
Yeah.
And I got an HDMI adapter off Amazon for that. It was like $15. But those are the primary accessories I use these days.
Okay. Yeah, I did both the new Magic Keyboard and the Folio case. And I've kind of come to the same place you have actually, where I don't need or want the keyboard on it most of the time, like around the house. Like when I was watching Dark Matter and finished it up the other evening in bed, I was like, I don't need this heavy keyboard thing floating around. Like the Apple one is enough. And so for me, the keyboard case actually stays in my office, and I'll just grab it. Like if I'm going out the door to a meeting where I'm going to take my iPad only, like I did the other evening, I'll just grab the keyboard and slap it in, trying to make the iPad a bit more modular. Because as good as the keyboard is, it definitely adds thickness and weight that sometimes I don't want. And so yeah, that's where I am with that. I have not really explored the HDMI world on the iPad. I don't feel like I have a need for it currently, but I do think that's really cool that you can bring bring video into the iPad, and I know people are doing it, like turn them into game monitors and stuff. So I think that's really cool that Apple's opened that door.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think it's fun. Okay, can I go down a rabbit hole for just a second?
Please.
You said you watched Dark Matter.
I did.
How'd you like it?
It was good. I really liked it. It is it's a show where you can't do anything else. Like you have to pay full attention, I feel like. Just the nature of the show and the topic, where you have I'll say this as vaguely as I can. You have multiple timelines you have to keep up with, like some Marvel stuff. And I think like some Marvel stuff, like you're not also like looking at, Mastodon when you're watching the show. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I know some people don't love how it ended. I'm mostly okay with it, but yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought the ending was kind of lame, but I liked it too.
Did you see Severance is coming back in January?
I still haven't watched it, man.
Oh, we were just talking about this last week. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, still haven't watched it.
Yeah, well, you're getting ready to have 2 long airplane rides.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Well, since we're talking about accessories, Apple Watch comes up. The only accessory I own for my Apple Watch is a watch band. What about you?
Yeah, same. And honestly, fewer than I did with like the regular Apple Watch. I feel like going to the Ultra, even though to Apple's great credit, honestly, that the regular bands for the large Apple Watch work with the Ultra. I think while they work, they don't look the best. And so really a bunch of Apple bands that I used to sort of cycle through are kind of just hanging out, and I'm basically flipping between just 2 of them now.
Me too. I gave away a lot of my standard bands, and I have several of the Ultra bands that I've collected over the last couple of years, and I use fewer, but that's cool.
Yeah. My default is the now out of production, sadly, gray orange Trail Loop. That's the Velcro band.
Yeah.
It was one of the original colorways, and it went away for some other colorways that I don't like quite as much. I do have the blue gray one that I will wear to University of Memphis football and basketball games, because the Tigers colors are blue and gray. I don't know why orange isn't a color for our school, because Tigers are orange, but we're blue and gray. So that one, and then the backup one, actually the one I'm wearing today, is the white Ocean Loop. So that's the rubbery one. The yellow one looks like noodles. It's got they have holes in them, and it's really adjustable, and I think looks pretty nice. The Velcro one is just hard to dress up. But at the same time, I think it's also hard to dress up the Apple Watch Ultra, because it is what it is. Like, it's just a big sports watch. Yeah. But those are my 2, the Trail Loop and the white Ocean Loop.
Well, we went and did our, biannual Hawaii trip. We got the timeshare, and I forgot to bring my Ocean Band.
And to the ocean.
Yeah, no. And when I go there, I swim in the ocean a lot. And so I just wore my gray orange Trail Loop the whole time, and I ruined it. It's done now. It's done. I mean, putting it in the Pacific Ocean for, like probably about 40 hours, that doesn't handle that well.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe I'll just buy a new one. And I looked at the Apple store, and they don't sell them anymore. I was sad, but there you go. Next time I will bring my Ocean Loop.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like Apple has not done a fantastic job of updating and expanding the watch bands for the Ultra like they do the other watches. Like the Pride bands that came out last month, right? Not an Ultra version. The regular watch bands generally get turned over twice a year, like spring and fall. The Ultra one's only once a year. And while I like the colorways they've done, they're not as expressive or as numerous as what Apple has done elsewhere. And that's something I would like to see them work on, is have more options for people with the Ultra to customize it further, because really, why there are third-party watch bands, and a lot of people do, and I've got a couple for my, my older watches, third-party watch bands. A lot of people are just going to do what Apple sells, and they may not buy another watch band ever, or maybe like once a year or something. And I feel like Apple should be prepared to serve those people. And I feel like on the Ultra front, they're just a little bit behind where they could be.
Okay, your Ultra watch, just a little aside here, is now 2 years old.
Yeah.
As is mine. So in September, if they announce an Ultra 3, are you going to be interested in it? Are you going to want to go back to a normal Apple Watch? What are you thinking?
I'm going to stay with the Ultra. One of the rumors is the regular watch will get bigger and flatter, maybe, but I really like the look of the Ultra. Now, I can tell you I'm not using the action button for anything important. And so that hasn't really stuck with me the way that maybe I thought it once would. But I like the size, I like the look. But my word, the battery life is so good. And, mine's coming up on 2 years old, like yours is. Battery life isn't what it was, but I'm still easily getting through a day and a half, almost 2 days, like sleeping with it. And so I'm going to stay on the Ultra Tane. Unless they do something really wild in the regular Apple Watch, I think I'm an Ultra fan from here on out.
And the action button for me, because I talked about it on a prior show, but I hooked it up to Whisper Memos. So I just push the action button and I start talking, and then it uses AI to transcribe it, and then it sends it to it sends it to my drafts inbox. It's a great workflow. So because it has a mail delivery service, the Whisper Memos does. So I just put my drafts, like email capture.
Yeah.
Drafts has a magic inbox email address. So you put that in Whisper Memos, and then you attach Whisper Memos to the action button on your Ultra. And anytime you have a thought, you just push the button and you talk to your watch. And the next time you open drafts, the text is there waiting for you, whether it's a blog post or an OmniFocus task or a email to somebody, whatever. It's just there. And man, I push that action button now many times a day. You should try that.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
This episode of the Mac Power Users is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go to expressvpn.com/MPU for high-speed, secure, and anonymous VPN services and get an extra 3 months for free. Going online without ExpressVPN is a bit like leaving your laptop unattended at the coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. Most of the time, you're probably fine, but why take that risk? When you connect to an unencrypted network in cafes, hotels, airports, or anywhere, your online data isn't secure. Someone on the same network could gain access to your personal data, including passwords, bank logins, credit card details, and other things you wouldn't want in someone else's hands. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. There are loads of reasons to choose ExpressVPN over other VPNs. It's super secure. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. It's easy to use too. Just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. And it works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay secure on the go. Plus, it's been rated #1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. I am super picky about Wi-Fi. The only Wi-Fi connection I connect to without ExpressVPN is my home Wi-Fi. It's just too easy for the bad guys to get in the middle anywhere else. So whether I'm at a coffee shop, an airport, when I travel, everywhere I go that I connect to Wi-Fi, I turn on ExpressVPN first. I've been a victim of identity theft in the past, and I am not going to make it easy for them next time. ExpressVPN is one of the key tools I use to avoid that. My favorite feature about it is just how easy it is. It really is as simple as pushing a single button. If you ever use Wi-Fi outside of your home, you should definitely check it out. And you can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/MPU. That's expressvpn.com/MPU, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. That URL one last time, expressvpn.com/MPU. And our thanks to ExpressVPN for their support of the Mac Power users and all of Relay FM. We talked about things like Stream Decks that are on our desks, but we didn't talk about the non-computery bits on our desk. I thought it'd be fun to do that as well. So what's on your desk, Stephen?
Oh, so much stuff. I will say I'll have a link to both of our studio setup pages because they go into more detail. But
yeah, mine's out of date though. I'll just say that right now.
I actually need to look through mine. I think mine's mostly up to date. For me, yeah, so it's the MacBook Pro, it's the studio display, it's my podcasting gear, all that's on my gear page. I don't recommend hardly any of it because it's all really expensive and I do it for a living. But I think the big change for me recently is going to an iPhone using Camo for video calls. For a long time, I was using a Sony ZV-1 and with various versions of capture. Sometimes, like tried HDMI capture, tried its own USB thing, and like I ended up having an iPhone 13 that was kind of without a job. It was a phone that I was using for my work with David Smith, but upgraded that to a 15 Pro. So when Apple Intelligence rolls around, I can explore that and while we develop those apps together. So the 13 kind of was homeless and I kind of did the look around of my family and no one needed anything. And so I put Camo on it and I'm using it. So that's probably the biggest change. It's something that I need to update on that page. But other than that, it's been stable for a long time. It's my computer, my display, some like knickknacks from various podcasts I do. Man, it's home. Like I spend so much time at this desk and kind of looking around. It's like, I want it to feel nice when I'm here. And I work hard to maintain that.
Yeah, I try to keep a clean desk too, which explains why I was so obsessed about getting those speakers off my desk earlier.
Yeah.
I guess you call it webcam situation also changed recently where we had an extra nice Sony camera here because one of my daughters upgraded. And so I had her old one and I mounted that properly on my, my Pro display with a lens. And I've got a really good looking webcam now. It's like the kind where people comment on it when I get on web calls. But I figure because of the labs and I do so much video and so, like today, as we record this, I've already done 2 webinars. So like, yeah, I need to have a nice camera there. So I actually went the opposite direction. I put a better one on there with a proper lens and I'm really happy with it. And I also use the Elgato key lights. So I'm lit properly. So I'm actually really happy. As I gave up the practice of law and kind of got more focused on making things and instructional videos and stuff, I wanted the production quality to go up, and it has. Part of that is gear. Part of it is getting a helper that's better at it than I am, and multiple things. But yeah, I went the opposite direction with my webcam. But the other stuff on my desk, I've got these analog UGMonk cards. This has come up a few times on the show, but in addition to having a digital task manager at the beginning of each day or the night before, I write down the few things I'm going to really do on a card, and it's looking at me all day. And UGMonk, you could argue, is overpriced, but they're really done well. And I think kind of like spending a little extra money on something like that you like, that you look at all day is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And they made these weekly cards last year, and I've been using the index cards now for 2 or 3 years, and I've been using the weekly cards since they released. I'm just a fan, it's great to have my whole week calendar on a piece of paper on my desk every day. And I like that. Same thing, podcast gear, video gear is all kind of explained on my gear page, which I will update eventually. I mentioned all the Elgato Stream Decks. I'm definitely in the bag for Elgato. I've also got the key lights. I've got the prompter, which is a new thing, which hangs on the end of a camera lens.
Yeah.
It's just a really well done teleprompter that's not like priced out of it's not that expensive. But like when I do a lot of Zoom calls with people, I'll put that prompter on because you can treat it as a second monitor. So I can put the Zoom window that shows the other people, and then I'm looking at their face while I'm talking to them. And I feel like that's a lot better.
Yeah. I know when you first got it, you had some software issues with it because it's also like its own display. How is that? Has that gotten better?
It's better, but not perfect.
Okay.
And the other thing is it does reflect slightly through the glass. So if you put like a white window in front of it, the actual video of you looks a little milky,
Yeah.
because of that white screen. So I've learned to like manage that. I put like really dark screens on it, and you've got to manage it a bit. It's not perfect, but I mean, it's not that expensive, and it's really helpful for the kind of work I do. So I'm good. And then another thing I bought from Elgato like 2 years ago is they have a folding green screen that like is really well made, and it like pulls up from the bottom, and so it's got tension on it. I almost never use it, but when I need a green screen, I've got a really good one just in the corner. So that's not really on my desk, I guess, but I figured since I'm making all my admissions and of sins with Elgato, I might as well put them all out there.
Sure.
I use the same stand as you for charging. This year I bought an Ember mug, which I love. In fact, if you hear my voice right now, I should have had a cup of tea before we started. But if you want hot tea or hot coffee to last you for 6 hours, get an Ember mug. They're really great.
Yeah.
And of course, my beloved MPU tumbler, which I use all the time.
Of course.
And a variety of analog gear from Studio Neat. I've got their pin and a couple other things. But I try to keep it pretty clean.
Yeah.
And I think the most important tool on the desk that's not related to a computer is the UGMUG stuff. But to each his own. I think that's not going to work for everybody, but for me it does.
Yeah. No. For me, it's my field notes. It's always basically to the right of my mouse, and I've got a pen next to it all the time. And I'm not doing anything super structured in it most days, but there are days where like things are kind of overwhelming. It's like, okay, out of the 8 things that I need to do today, like I need some sort of order to this, or like, what are the 3 things that absolutely have to get done? And kind of forcing some hierarchy can be useful. The other thing I will say, I don't know if it's new since we spoke about it, but I've got the fully Jarvis desk, and
Okay.
I've had the desk since I expanded the studio, but I have one of their, I think it's like 3 outlets and then 2 USB-C power delivery things, and it clamps to the top of the desk. So you have outlets up top and not just under the desk. And so I have a couple of things plugged in there depending on what I'm doing. So like this time of year, right? Beta time, but I don't have the beta on my regular computer because I have work to do. I have it on a MacBook Air. And so I have the MacBook Air charger plugged in and the MacBook Air on the side of the desk sometimes. And having accessible outlets to you, especially if your work surface changes like ours do, or like a sit stand desk like mine is, can be kind of tricky, but really useful. And so I really like this fully branded accessory that gives me outlets up top, kind of where I'm working all the time. And it's not the prettiest thing in the world for sure, but the utility is really great. And I've just become more aware of it with the MacBook Air, kind of back in my life for a while as I'm playing with Sequoia. It's a very useful thing.
They make great stuff. I actually bought from them a couple of their waffle ceiling clouds. When I moved into the studio, there was still a little bit of echo in here I didn't like. And this did a really good job. And you can spend so much money on acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
And these are $250 each. And they give you everything you need to hang them. And they really can quiet a room. And like they make, I just feel like whoever is running that, they understand that kind of the stuff that mid-level creators like us need.
Mm-hmm.
And they get it, my sit stand desk, I don't even know who made it. I've had it over 10 years and it works great. But if it died, I would probably just go to Uplift and get a new one.
Yeah.
Or actually what I would do is I'd get a stand and build my own top.
Your own top.
Yeah. All right. That's a lot of accessories.
That is a lot of accessories, David. I feel like the show notes are bursting at the seams.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I bet you've got some good ones at home that we didn't use. And if you want to share those, you can do it over on the forum, talk.macpowerusers.com. Go check it out. Thank you to our sponsors, 1Password, Squarespace, and ExpressVPN. We are the Mac Power Users. You can find us at relay.fm/MPU. If you are a More Power Users subscriber, stick around. I have a story I can't wait to tell. And otherwise, we'll see you next time.